Thank you for joining me for another Sunday Afternoons with Reverend Lucretia. I'm so glad you're here. And if this is your first time joining us, welcome. I'm so glad that you found this station. I hope that you find it is spiritually uplifting and nourishing and informative and gives you insights that you never thought of before. So the name of today's talk is Light Always Clears the Darkness, and the song is Good Ray Vision by Ryan Brolliar. We will be talking about his story after we listen to the song. We're going to be talking a lot about Diwali, which is the Festival of Lights that just finished this week. We'll be talking about See the Light, Be the Light, which is the story of Ryan Brolliar. We will be talking about scriptural references to light as well as the metaphysical interpretations. We will be talking about The Seekers of Light Are One, which is May Rowland's perspective, the Unity teacher from back in the 50s. We will be talking about my perspective as well and a little bit of my take on everything that I have written. So before we go any further, let's just go ahead and listen to the lyrics. If you'd like to listen to the song before you hear the talk, just go ahead and click on the link. It will be down below in the description. So here we go. Good Ray Vision by Ryan Brolliar. If we get to have a choice of how we look at life, I choose to see the good in all. I'm not saying finding the good in everything is an easy thing to do. I am saying, however, if you concentrate enough, the good will come to you. What if we knew that even when it's dark at night, the sun never goes down, it's just on the other side? What if we only saw the good in the world we live in, no matter what someone said or did, because we had good ray vision? Oh, doesn't it feel good to see the good? Oh, doesn't it feel good? Let's pretend it's our job to find the good things between us. Look for similarities instead of differences. Stop taking it for granted how we look at one another. Which glasses are we wearing? Are they positive or negative color? Oh, doesn't it feel good to see the good? So we're going to talk about, first of all, the Diwali, which is the Festival of Lights. We just finished. So it started on Thursday and it went until Sunday. And it is one of the largest festivals, the biggest and brightest and most important festivals. 15% of the world's population celebrate Diwali. The spiritual meaning is emphasizing the importance of the inner light and victory of good over evil, the light of higher knowledge dispelling all ignorance, the celebration of life itself and its enjoyment and goodness. So Deepavali is the full word for it. Deepa means light and Vali means series or row of lights. So you'll see that people have decorated their houses with lights all around, and they use these little clay pots that have oil in them, and they set them all next to each other in a row, and that's where you get the row of lights. It is a metaphor of knowledge and consciousness that can drive away the ignorance within you. It is the story of King Rama, who is the personification of all virtues. He's the perfect role model for many. He was exiled to the forest for 14 years. His wife was abducted by the evil king Ravana. He travels to Sri Lanka and wages a war to bring her back. They're separated for a very long time. He thinks he's never going to see her again. And one of the morals of the story is that no matter how many disasters he goes through, he conducted himself gracefully, without deviating from his noble values. He embodies the principle that what happens in the outside world may be limited, but what happens inside us can be entirely our creation. And that's what we talk about in New Thought all of the time, that what happens in the outside world is dependent on how we perceive it. How we perceive it determines how we feel about our lives, whether we see the good or whether we see the bad. The same thing can happen to two different people, and they will have a completely different experience of it just based on what their consciousness is. So Rama eventually won the battle. He returns with his wife, and that day of return is celebrated as Diwali. So it signifies the time of inner illumination. The light of lights is the one that steadily shines in the chamber of our heart. So sitting quietly and fixing the mind on the supreme light illuminates the soul. It is an opportunity to cultivate and enjoy eternal bliss. Beyond the festivities, this is a time to reflect on life and make changes for the upcoming year. So 4 of the things they talk about, the number 1 is give and forgive. So forget and forgive the wrongdoings of others. There's all of this time of reflection and letting go of that which no longer serves us and forgiving the people that have harmed us. Rise and shine. So they suggest that you get up an hour and a half before sunrise for improved health, ethical discipline, efficiency in our work, and for spiritual advancement. So they talk about unify and unite. Soften the hardest of hearts. Mingle in joy and embrace one another. Sages said, "O children of God, unite and love all." Greetings and love are powerful forces. The celebration brings out the best in everyone and rekindles the urgent need of turning away from the ruinous path of hatred. Prosper and progress. So at this time, they also open up their books. The businesses open up all their accounting books, and they pray for success and prosperity. The festival instills charity in the hearts of people who perform good deeds, including feeding the poor on a very large scale. So I believe it's the fourth day that there is a very concerted effort that everybody gets together and they do mass feedings for the hungry and for the homeless and for the poor. So from the darkness into the light empowers us to commit ourselves to good deeds and brings us closer to divinity. During Diwali, the lights illuminate every corner of India. The scent of incense sticks hangs in the air, and the sounds of firecrackers, joy, togetherness, and hope prevail. So although that is from a different faith base than what we have in Christianity, it's all the same thing. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, that light is light. That light is about shining the light on the darkness, illuminating our minds, bringing us from a place of ignorance to a place of knowledge. So we're going to be talking about that a lot. So see the light, be the light. That is the story of Ryan Brolliar. So he says, imagine inside every one of us is a light. The more you feed the light, the more it grows and the brighter it becomes. Focus on other people's light and you will make their light grow as well. So in July of 2015, he found out that he had a tumor on his spine, and he was a surfer. And he said, I did what any other surfer would do. I got my board and I started walking towards the water. But as he was walking to the ocean, he said his life changed forever. Everything came to a stop. He said, all of my dreams, my fears, my doubts, I felt the greatest peace come over me. I felt like the tumor was on the side of me. I was in touch with, held by, and connected to the greatest love that I've ever felt. It wasn't dependent on anything, who I was or who I wasn't, what I had or didn't have. It just felt like it has always been here. And he said, the funny thing is, I also had the feeling that it always was gonna be here. Underneath the tumor, my skin, everything that existed on the outside, it existed this peace and this love. For the first time in my life, I got a glimpse of the truth of who I really was. And we talk about that all the time in New Thought, that inside us is this core being, this spiritual connection, all of us to each other, that makes us who we really are. So he said the surgery went really great. There were 18 staples on his spine and 17 on the inside. The healing and the rehab couldn't have gone better. He says, as I got back on my feet, I couldn't get out of my mind this overwhelming desire. I wanted more of that peace. What was that love? He said, it still brings tears to my eyes when I think about it. How do I find out more about that truth? So he made a decision to go on this travel the world, and dedicated to study people that dedicated their lives to being living examples of peace and truth, so that he could find more about that love that existed inside him that was so overwhelming. He wanted to study people who know how to be connected to that force and ask them about how they did it. So he went on a 13-country tour where the 5 largest religions existed. So in India, he studied Hinduism. In Nepal and China, he studied Buddhism. In Israel, he studied Christianity and Judaism, and in Qatar, he studied Islam. And he said there were 2 main takeaways. The number 1 is you don't need to travel to find that peace. And number 2 is that every person and country and religious faith had and desired that same truth, love, and peace. So he was getting back to his normal life. He was a musician, and one of his friends called him and asked him if he would do an event at the Children's Hospital in the Ronald McDonald House in San Diego. And he said he would do it, and so he went and he did. And at the end of the event, one of the mothers came running up to him and asked if he could play music for her daughter, who was in the Children's Hospital. Her daughter had a very strong wish to hear this special song on guitar, so she had gone in for a routine surgery, and something had gone very, very wrong, and this massive infection had taken over her life, and she actually was dying. She was in her last weeks when she made this request. So she was 12 years old when she went in to have this surgery. And so because of the complications, and she was near death, she asked for this song, and so Ryan did go in and sing the song. He sang I'm Yours by Jason Mraz. And he said after he got out of that room, he was standing against the wall down the hall, and he just started crying horribly. And he said, I was just overwhelmed by the fact that something so easy for me made such an impact on this little girl. And as he was walking down the hall, he heard these words, 50 for 50. And he says that is when the birth of Music is Medicine tour started. And so you can Google Music is Medicine. You can go on YouTube and look at Music is Medicine. So he went on this tour. So 50 hospitals in 50 states was his goal, including Hawaii and Alaska. He had to play for people in need. That was the criteria. He went to children's hospitals, elderly, veterans' homes. He did home visits. And he said he had this new partner in life, my confidant, my home, the Jambulance. So he had a very good friend who was a paramedic, and he had an ambulance that he was getting ready to refurbish and to use to go to scenic trips around America. And he heard that Ryan was getting ready to do this tour, this Music America tour. And so he said that he would give him this ambulance to be refurbished so that he could use it on the road. And one of Ryan's students, a 23-year-old, came to him and said, I heard you were doing this tour. I've got this exact perfect name for it. And he said, you've got to call it the Jambulance. And so if you go, you can see pictures of it. And so it's this ambulance that is totally refurbished so that all of his needs are there. He can sleep there and eat there. And he was able to go around the country. So for 9 months, he traveled all around America. He did hit all 50 states. He said it was a humbling experience. He's never been so proud of what his life stood for. He went to 78 hospitals, 25,348 miles, 1,408 gallons of gas, $66,000 was raised by donors at the GoFundMe, and he was able to visit over 1,500 patients. So he says he gets asked now that he's back, while he was on the tour, and now that he's back, he gets asked all the time by everybody, how could you do that? How could you possibly go in and visit a 5-year-old who had a brain tumor or someone who was on their last day of living and go play their favorite song for them? Because he made it a point to find out what the patient's favorite song was and go ahead and play that for them and then leave the van and go and do it again. And he said, the answer is, I cried a lot. I was learning to become witness to something I never knew existed before. See the light, be the light. The greatest peace and the greatest love. My job, my duty, my obligation was to see these people not for their cancer, not for their age, not for their tumor, not for their circumstance, but anything other than the light that lives inside of them, that is underneath all of that. The same peace, the same truth, the same light. We all have this light inside of us. You feed that light, it grows, and it becomes lighter. So he would focus on the light inside, and those people would open up and smile. He said it was actually hardest to work with the elderly. The elderly, he wasn't sure that they could even hear them. They'd be sitting kind of all bent over in their wheelchairs, and he was trying to sing and get them animated, and he wasn't really sure. But he said if you keep on focusing, it was difficult, but if you looked hard enough, you could see the light inside of them. And they would start to wake up. He said a couple of them actually tried to get out of their wheelchairs, and a couple of them actually tried to start dancing with him. He said, see past all of the outside in someone else, and they will be the light right back at you. Make it our focus to see the light in one another, and we will be the light together. I just thought that was such a wonderful story about light overcoming darkness. So before we go any further, let's go ahead and look at scriptural references. There are many, many references to light. John 1:5, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. Genesis 1:4, God saw the light was good, and he separated the light from the darkness, all the way back in the beginning. 2 Samuel 22:29, you, Lord, are my lamp. The Lord turns my darkness into light. Psalm 112:4, even in the darkness, light dawns for the upright, for those who are gracious and compassionate and righteous. Isaiah 9:2, the people walking in darkness have seen a great light. On those living in the land of deep darkness, a light has dawned. Isaiah 42:16, I will lead the blind by ways they have not known. Along unfamiliar paths I will guide them. I will turn the darkness into light before them, and I make the rough places smooth. Luke 11:35, see to it then that the light within you is not darkness. And 2 Corinthians 4:6, for God who said, let light shine out of darkness, made his light shine in our hearts to give us the light of the knowledge of God's glory displayed in the face of Christ. I just love that. So metaphysically, we've talked about this before. Metaphysically, light is the understanding principle in the mind. Light is the symbol of wisdom. When Jesus said, I am the light of the world, in John 8:12, he meant he was the expresser of truth in all of its aspects. The inner light is the illumination of spirit, resident in the center of every man's being. Light is a symbol of intelligence. We cannot affirm too often, I am intelligence. I am the light of the world. So May Rowland is a Unity minister from back in the 1950s, and she was going around the world trying to spread the Unity message, and this particular talk was given in the UK. It's called The Seekers of the Light Are One, and she was talking about the fact that all of us have this inner light. People of every nation love humanity, seeking to bring peace, understanding, and brotherhood. God, who created this world and called it good, is still in charge. It's up to us to learn the secret of life. We are all children of God. Cooperation with Him is essential. Declare yourself a seeker of light, united in invisible bond of love for all of humanity. Affirm, I have faith in mankind. I know good shall be victorious, and nothing can defeat it. Know that peace and understanding is possible. Declare that the light of man's spiritual nature can turn darkness into light. It can change a barren life into a productive life. Know that you can be a great light. Ye are the light of the world. Let your light shine before man, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. Accept challenges with a loving heart. The world can be united through loving understanding and warm hearts. Be a blessing. Say to all people, I love you, I bless you, and I have faith in you. We talk all the time about the fact that we believe that if we lift other people up, we can all together change the world. We change ourselves, we become the light ourselves, and we encourage other people to be the light, and we see the light in them, and we believe in them and have faith in them. Pray for the world leaders that they may find unity in thought, purpose, and understanding, and that they be inspired to right action for the mutual good of all of mankind. Let us get in touch with the great spiritual reservoir of love and harmony within ourselves. Let our harmonious radiance brighten our own home. Then let it radiate out to our government, and then to the whole world and to all of its people. So here's what I know. This all started because I live in a community, I don't know, there's probably 450 apartments in this complex, and probably 60-65% are Indian, East Indian descent. And so they're all celebrating Diwali. I also teach in a preschool environment, and many, the vast majority of the kids are also of Indian descent, and they're all excited about this holiday. So they've been preparing for it and dressing up, and they come in these beautiful outfits. And so this celebration started on Thursday night, and all of the homes get decorated, and there's big parties, and there's food, and there's enjoyment, and there's firecrackers. They're really into firecrackers. Same way like we have July 4th, they're having this huge, big festive celebration. And so my neighbor that lives right next to me didn't have any lights on. And I have been here for several years, and I've been with them before, and they usually have their door open, and there are people coming in and out all the time, and there's always lights on and food, and you can smell this incredibly wonderful food, and it's always just this joyous occasion. And I saw them out when I went out of my door, and they were coming out at one time, and I said to them, why do you not have your lights on? Like, why are you not being festive, and why are you not celebrating? And he reminded me that his dad had died in August. I actually was aware of all that. I had been asked to come in and pray with them all as this was going on. So I knew his father had died, but it turns out that when that happens, there is a year of mourning. There's a whole year of mourning, so they don't do any celebration at all. And so they said to me, well, since he just died in August and this is November, we're still in our year of mourning, so we wouldn't be having any festivity. And so I found it incredible, the juxtaposition, because the next thing that happened was she said, well, I do have good news to share with you. I just found out today that I'm pregnant. And so it just brought to my mind how there's constantly this juxtaposition between light and darkness, how there's always light and celebration and joy, and there's always darkness. There's always birth and there's always death. And that made me think, when I was getting ready to write this talk, it gave me an impulse to talk about light and darkness all the time. The light and the darkness, but the light always clears the darkness. The light is of the higher knowledge and the dispelling of all ignorance. Knowledge that God is good and always present despite any physical experiences that we may be having. We are constantly in a state of growth and expansion. We talk about that all the time, that our job is constantly to be getting bigger and better and brighter and to be the best version of ourselves. Fillmore talks about the fact that the whole of Scripture is the story of evolution, coming out of the darkness into the light, evolving from not knowing into a deep and conscious understanding of who we really are, understanding that our lifetimes are journeys of growth. The Bible is a story of man's redemption. We are being saved from our ignorance of beliefs that tell us who we are is what we have, or where we live, or what we do. Ignorance of being centered in the material world, the sense consciousness, until we finally grow into our real expression of who we are. We are grounded in love and compassion and generosity. That is what is at the core of our very being. Shining the light on our own mistaken beliefs gives us the ability to have clarity, and sitting still in the silence connects us to who we really are, so we can know peace more fully and get away from any imagined sense of lack. Shining the light on who we really are keeps us grounded in love, strength, and wisdom. When you are feeling anxious or afraid, or when you get off track with your true purpose in life, remember to shine the light of understanding. You are born of love. It is who you are. It is who you were meant to be. Love, hope, kindness, and generosity. As Ryan Brolliar says, see the light, be the light. See it in each person that you encounter as you go through your daily life, and most importantly, see it in yourself. And so it is. Remember, at all times the power is in you. It always has been, and it always will be. I would love to hear your comments on this. If you have anything that you can tell me about Diwali, your experience of that, I'd love to hear that. I'd love to hear about how you shine the light on darkness, how you manage to see the light in yourself and in each other, and how it has become your purpose to grow and expand so that you can be the best person you can possibly be by shining the light where the ignorance is, so that you can come to peace and truth and understanding. I send you on your way with many blessings. Thank you so much.